Well, hello and welcome. We are so glad that you're here. Today we're going to listen to the second in a series of 3 of Kriyananda's lectures on gratefulness. And you'll remember that last week he started by making the point, I could even call this rules for successful living or the art of successful living. And that theme actually continues today into today's lecture, when he doesn't just give us the moral imperative to be grateful, but he explains to us the practical reasons why gratefulness, gratitude, living in the way he describes actually benefits us, the one having that mindset and having those practices. In a lot of religious traditions, we hear things like, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. And it is easy to hear those only as moral imperatives. And so it's so refreshing to have this understanding where Kriyananda helps us know that aside from morality, these are practical tools. These are wisdom bits for living. And we're so glad that you're here to learn and study and practice with us as you pursue your most happy and successful life.
If you're grateful for nothing, the channel between you and life is closed. If you're grateful for a little thing, it opens up and things can flow in, flow out, and if things can flow out, things can flow in. Now, if you're grateful for a number of small things, it opens up a little bit, okay? Like that, okay? You're grateful that all your friends and that, it opens a little more. But ultimately, to get this to open up, that's what you're grateful for, you need to send to your enemy. You've got to open it all the way. If you do that, then it opens up, and the universe is yours. All you have to do is to be able to think it. Now, if you can't think what you want, you can't give a name to it, you can't have it. Secondly, you have to think it, and then you have to hold the thought. The sustaining utterance is the law of mantra, the sustaining utterance. The kid doesn't say, cookie. Mommy says, oh, yes, here's a cookie. He's got to say, cookie, 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 cookie. And after he says it enough times, she'll slug him and give him the cookie. Oh, I'm sorry, and give him the cookie, Probably a bad example, but you can't say, kitty, and have the cat come, doggy, suey. You got to keep repeating it. But it really, if you want the full doors of heaven to open up, the windows of heaven as they used to be called, if you want the whole garden to be revealed to you of what is there, you can't have any closures, any constrictions. And so the so-called enemy, which is in you and is you and you, for you and me, for me, the personality, we really need to pass that blessing on to the person we really dislike, and particularly to the person who you think does not deserve it. You're hearing? That's the key point. If you say, well, I can't send that to that blessing, so to speak, that thing to the enemy, because he doesn't deserve it. Wow, do you think you deserve it? Do you think you deserve it way down deep in your being? And the answer is, most of you don't, myself included. And that's been the battle of spirituality, is the battle of getting the kinks out of our head, which goes down the whole chakric level. If you can give it to the enemy, even if he's unworthy, even if he really, really, really doesn't deserve it, and you can do that, pow! You've opened all the chakras, all the petals, the doors of heaven open, and anything you can think of, you can have. The second problem, as I said, is you have to be able to conceive of something you cannot conceive, to think of something you have not thought before. Now this is that, turning back around, this is this periodic table, this is the chakric tree of life, this is the Kabbalistic tree of life, this is the sand painting of the Navajos or the Southwest American Indians. It shows you the pattern so you'll be able to at least get an inkling of the other areas. Or it's the horoscope, you say, well, here's my personality, after my personality comes my wealth, which everybody says dollar bills, but the wealth is your memory track, and then if I have myself and my wealth, then I have my family and the ability to communicate to the family, then I build a home environment, and after, it just goes right around the chart, so you can go through these 12 tribes of Israel, or 12 disciples of Christ, or the 12 months, or the 12 zodiacal signs, or the 12 deities that worship the great serpent deity. Same thing, all the same symbolism. We have to open the whole chalice. We have to open our whole soul to give so that we can get. But the giving and getting, though that religiously this is very important, mystically, is if you can't, if you have a wall there, you can't poke a hole in the wall, you can't see beyond the wall. If there's water behind there, you have to poke a hole, even if the idea is to get water to where water is. You can only, when you open the hole, can anything come through. So I'm back to, we are not here in this universe as a punishment. Forgive me, the Mideasterners are wrong. The Westerners are wrong. We are here as a reward. Unfortunately, because of negativities, many of us have not been able to collect those awards. I remember once a woman saying, "Oh, I'm terrible, to Shelley, oh, I'm terrible, I'm sinful, I did this, I did that." And Shelley said, yes, you did, yes, you did. And she said, finally she said after about 2 hours, "I just have terrible karma from the past." And that kind of threw me, because I would have said, "Yep, you do." and Shelley, who is much wiser then and now than I am, said to her, "Well, of course you have a lot of bad karma from the past. You've been down here 350,000 times. Just think of all the good karma you have collected. Why don't you draw upon that?" And really, this is what I'm teaching you about the concept of gratefulness. You have all these good things from the past that you had, and the Kabbalists and other people would say, you remembered. If you couldn't remember it, you wouldn't want it. And so, the idea is basically to move past yesterday, to move into the memory tracks, to get away from the negative memory, to move to the positive memory, to transcend memory, to get into this periodic table of consciousness and permutate, is the word my guru used again, to permutate your consciousness so that you can feel something and become aware of something you have not been yet aware of. Really, if you're interested, it's the word good, G-O-O-D. I'll keep it in modern terms. The good is that which, according to modern theology, created all of us in the universe. It's not true, but we'll stay with them, okay? The good is a tetragrammatron. A tetragrammatron simply means it's a 4-letter word and 2 letters repeat themselves, okay? A-U-M-M, okay? This sort of thing. Now, let's say G-O-O-D, all right? That is the symbol of the 4 worlds in which you live, the 4 levels of your consciousness. If you think of it in terms of chakra trees, it's the Saturn level, the Jupiter level, the Mercury level, the Venus level, let's go, the Saturn level, the Jupiter level, the Mars level, and the Venus level, okay? As soon as you come to the 5th one, is here, which we call the Mercury level. As you know, that's the Akashic record. That's Akasa, ether. It's unformed. So there are only these 4 states of consciousness, and so you have 4 letters symbolizing. In mysticism and yoga, it starts always with A, short A, A-U-M-M, okay? But let's go back to G-O-O-D, all right? Somewhere in those 4, 2 of them are similar. It's exactly what they're saying is the breathing pattern, which what you really ought to be thankful for is you're doing this. If you're not, you lose your body. Well, that's not so bad, except as you lose your body, we tend to lose our consciousness. And what's truly of value is our consciousness. If you check your breath, there's an inhalation, there's an exhalation, right? But there's something else. There's an inhalation, a hold, an exhalation, a hold. 4 factors, 2 of which are the same. Hold and hold. They're simply different in time, in placement, if you prefer the word. So if I wanted to permutate, I could say good, 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 good. And if I did that some night when I'm really tired and sat there comfortably and kept doing that, and after you do it for a while, you stop gooding and you just Okay, good, 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 good. Good, 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 good. Good. See, short, little pause, and you're not thinking. You're trying to feel. What do I feel? It's a passive looking. Then you're good, 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 good for a longer period of time, and the pause or the silences are longer, and each good, 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 good becomes longer. The pause becomes longer, and all you're doing is not paying any attention to the good, 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 but what do you feel in the silence? What are you aware of? If you do that tonight, or when you feel a little stronger, you'll be amazed that you have a feeling like you've been sick and all of a sudden you're well, and there's wow! We call it ananda, joy, ecstasy of living, the beauty of the beauty of divine life, whatever you want to refer to it. But you know, this is pretty close to what it's about. And then all of a sudden your mind will go churn, 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 click, click, worry, fear, apprehension, got to do this, have to do that, what I'm going to say, and you lose it. But you know it's there, so you can go back to it. After you do that, you can turn around and begin to permutate it. G-O-O, good, I'm sorry, G-O-O-D, 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 G-O-O-D. And you feel a different feeling. Now, trying to teach you how to permutate, I could go G-O-O-D, G-O-O-D, G-O-O-D. Okay? Or I could go, after a while, another permutation. G-O-O-D, 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 G-O-O-D. And you'll find that you can permutate those in 12 ways, and only 12 ways. Not 11, but 12. Not 13, but 12, the yogi says. And they are simply stimulating the 12 cranial nerves that come out of your brain and down through your spinal column. They are what we call in yoga the 12 fundamental states of consciousness that exist in a cerebral spinal being. And you say, well, that's important. Well, all of a sudden you can do this. G-O-D-O, G-O-D-O, G-O-D-O. And you realize you've broken the pattern of the good. You're beginning to create something that was not in the original creation. It's called the secondary creation. And you begin to find that in that secondary creation, you exist more comfortably. The macrocosm, G-O-D, and G-O-D-O, it's the same thing. It's just the patterning in one and the other is different. In dimension of time, probably intensity, but order of things. We call it in yoga Rita, the order of the universe. And we begin to see what all of this around us is. What we begin to see is, oh, everybody's living in a little cubicle. It's isolated, insulated, and they're really in a very, very subjective state. Every one of us, okay? But as we begin to see the Rita, we begin to see some people have broken out of that shell. They're still a monad, if you'll permit the word, but somehow the monad is able to see a little clearer all the other. Oh, over there I recognize a monad, and pretty soon we recognize a wonderful thing, that we are all living in an isolated, insulated, subjective, collective universe. If I can communicate that to you, this world that you and I are living in is collective, but it's subjective. It's not totally individualistic. I holler, you cry. You holler, I weep. You shoot, I die. I shoot, you duck. And I've said these last few minutes something extremely mystically important. I've said it symbolically because by my vow I'm not allowed to say it out loud. It's oral tradition. Moving on with gratefulness. Gratefulness as we hold to the thought, whether we can just think of one thing and hold to it, we begin to see deeper and deeper into our nature, into our personality, all right? Which is part of nature, not apart from nature. And we begin to see things that aren't so nice. We begin to see things that are that we would like to change. And what that means simply is we're now beginning to mature. Remember the Leo I told you about some time back of Shelley saying to the Leo, if you had to live your life over again, would you? He said, no, I led it perfectly. And Shelley looked at him and said, I see you haven't grown very much. A lot of changes I would make if I had to live it over again. Not that they were errors or mistakes, but rather because I can see it a little more clearly. And I'm sure the same as you. But immediately as we begin to see the so-called mistakes, we say, oh my God, and we block it off. We shove it down in, and now it's fighting against us unconsciously. The good word is error. It's not a sin, it's an error. Bad judgment, bad timing, error. Error can be corrected. You're espoused from the good, and from goodness only good comes, but you're holding on to somebody and something that somebody said is what you should focus on. And I'll close this session very clearly by, and forgive me, I don't mean to be impolite to anyone. One of my disciples was driving past a Catholic church, and he had two little kids. And they were driving by the church, and there was this big cross outside the Catholic church, school actually. It was right next to the Catholic church, and there was this big cross, and there was a man hanging on it, with dripping blood, and the little kid screamed, literally with great fear and anguish, and he said, haven't they taken him down yet? Haven't they taken him down yet? I thought, wow, I got to say that one of these days. And again, I'm trying to teach, I'm not picking on anyone. The difference between the Catholic cross and the Protestant cross is they took him down. One emphasizes the anguish, one recognizes he's no longer there, the resurrectional. And those are Western symbols. I don't like them, but they may be meaningful to you. And I'm trying to help you. And the answer is, that's what we're doing to ourselves. And why don't you take yourself down? Quit beating yourself up. Quit having guilt because someone said, this or that. Let go of it. Life has long since forgiven you, or you wouldn't be in my garden of God, my beloved. Okay? Enjoy. We'll have about a 10-15 minute break and continue. Deepest blessings. I'm waiting for Swamiji to come back. I was thinking, when I was upstairs actually, I was meditating, and I think there's a technique that I feel that many of you could use, and so she's bringing it down, so hopefully she will find it. In the meantime, are there any questions about what we've talked about so far, what we've talked, clarifications that may be needed? Good. Okay. All right, then let us continue. We were talking about gratefulness really is a process of seeing life as a whole, as a completeness. Gratefulness is a way that you grab a hold of one little piece of life, and then you realize, aha, life is a hologram. Life is a hologram. And by seeing that one little life, you see the whole pattern of life. It's really what I learned in the Zen monastery, Satori, which is simply a very insight about some little insignificant thing. But that little insignificant thing becomes a pattern by which we understand all of life. It's a Satori. And I like the word. As we hold on to this one little concept of gratefulness, we're able to go deeper and deeper into ourselves to see the expansiveness of life. As we take this gratefulness and pour it out on people we don't like, I've softened it a little bit, as people we conceive are their enemies, as people that we're absolutely positively sure that they don't deserve. As we do that, as I said, there's an explosion inside our being to which we become aware, really, that anything in life you want, you can have, because you're willing to give it to everyone. That's the secret. As I said quite often, as a child we lived in a house that had no electricity, no plumbing. We had an outhouse. and outside, 10 feet from the house, there was a well. And right as you went out the door, there was a little glass of water there, and anybody that drank it got heavily spanked. That was called priming water. What that purpose was, you take it, go out to the pump, and you'd have to pour this little half pint of water into the pump itself, and then you'd pump. Well, one day I drank it. I was thirsty and too lazy to go to the well. In case you're wondering why everybody's laughing and listening to this tape and not the video, I had my glasses on looking for my glasses, and then I realized they were around my neck, and I pulled them up and realized I had two of them. It's my mother, bless her beautiful soul, had a cigarette in this hand and a cigarette in this hand, and she said to me, this is decades ago, I know I had a cigarette here somewhere, I just can't find it. Oh! I knew I put my happiness somewhere, but I just can't find it. So we were talking about the ability of being grateful for something and pouring that out on people that you don't know too well, people you dislike, your enemy, people who absolutely don't deserve it. And it's the priming water, of priming the pump of your happiness and success in life. And I was saying we're living in this little house. There was nothing inside. Outside there was a well, and there was a little bottle of water, and anybody that drank, it was a half pint of water in a mayonnaise jar, as I remember, and anybody who drank that got spanked. Well, one day I was really thirsty and lazy, so I drank it. Now, I wasn't about to get spanked, you know how children are. Let's be creative. So I went out and I figured I'd pump, and I'd pump. I figured all I had to do was pump harder and pump long enough, I'd get the water back in, and she'd never know it. I wouldn't get spanked. I lost 3 pounds, and 2 hours later, I realized there's a reason for priming the pump. It seals that little rubber gasket, and my brother came by, and I don't know, he had hid some water. It was pretty old. But he poured it in. It was just, like 2 or 3 ounces. Poured it in there and said, quit pumping. I said, I've been pumping for an hour. It doesn't work. The pump's broken. And he poured it in and started pumping, and the third time down, gushing water. And he says, you can pump the rest of your life, and this well will never really go dry. Rest of your life, So we need this thing called a priming to prime our pump. It's a sealer. In this case, the willingness to give that to someone that you feel truly does not deserve it allows your soul to open up and say, well, you may not deserve it, but it'll flow into your life. That's the priming. Now, I'll say it again. What is gratefulness? If you are grateful, if you cultivate gratefulness, you can have everything you want, which is wonderful, but even those wonderful things that you can't conceive of. Okay? Gratefulness is seeing that which others receive, that you want but do not have, but you are grateful that they are receiving it. Gratefulness is the Rita of life, where you lift to all life and therefore can extract all that is good from your life. Remember, it comes from you, seemingly goes to the outer world, and comes back to you. Gratefulness is obtained when you are truly content, when others receive what you want. Gratefulness is obtained when you are truly non-violent in your thoughts, when your enemy, quote unquote, gets what she or he wants. Think about that for 15 seconds. If your friend, you want success, and your friend obtains a little bit of success, and you're upset, you're jealous, all those emotions, then you're not priming the pump. You're priming some other pump, hatred, lack is the word I would use. But when you want something and you see somebody obtaining it, getting it, if you permit the word, if you should truly be content. Then you have attained gratefulness. You put the sealer, the waters of life will gush out forever. And you don't have to pump 2 hours, just 1 or 2 strokes. 1, 2, 3, ah, e, ah. Gratefulness is obtained when you are truly nonviolent in your thinking, when your best enemy, your worst enemy, gets what he or she wants out of life. They get it, and you're grateful that they got it. Now again, the symbolism, the necessity, the psychological necessity is if you are happy when other people are happy and you want happiness, you're happy for their happiness, you've opened the door. But people say, well, they don't deserve it. How come I? What about me? And they simply close down the whole creative mechanism. Now that really is vital to what I've been trying to teach you this afternoon. When you are grateful when other people succeed, you will succeed. Now you don't have to succeed as they succeed, but you will succeed in what you wish to succeed in, even though I shouldn't end with a preposition. My wife is watching somewhere. I can hear it. Don't end in a preposition. It's acceptable, it may be acceptable, but don't do that. I'll say it a third time because it's so critical. To receive any of the benefits of life, to receive any of the fruits of life, gratefulness is needed. Mate Devo Bhava, Guru Devo Bhava, Atiti Devo Bhava is one of the great watchwords of Eastern teaching. Father is God. Mother is God. Now, my mother made 2 or 3 really bad mistakes in her life. But Mate Devo Bhava, Mother is God. Without her, this would not be here. And without this here, you would not be here. And would be laughing and joking. She's a doorway. He's a doorway. And you may not like the doorway. You understand what I'm saying? But that doorway opens an infinity of doorways for you to enjoy, to learn, to laugh, to live, to grow, to serve, whatever it is meaningful to you. You've entered into the garden of God. Without them, it could not be happening. And what we're saying is that though I suppose in this world, East and West, modern times, ancient time, there's always been a lot of hostility, particularly between daughters and mothers. It shouldn't be. Oftentimes a lot of competition between son and father. But if we recognize we're not looking for perfection in people, but rather that each soul that comes into our life opens a door for us, which we ourselves probably could not open. And then it is for us to move through to the next door. It's about joy. It's about happiness. I don't know how else to say it. I use the word wisdom. But wisdom, like enlightenment, is not the end goal, my beloved. These are tools, marvelous tools, to obtain what the yogi calls ananda, 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 the bliss of being, the ecstasy of life. But sometimes we think that it's about getting inside ourselves and going up to some high play and the lights flash and all of that, and God says, hello. And I say, hi. But that's not what it's about. It's about coming back down. Or I would not be here, my beloved. It's about literally coming back down and sharing your pain, your laughter, your humor, your knowledge, which is not yours, but brought to us by other souls as we walk through certain doors. And that's what you want, that's what you need, that's what you desire, that's what you crave. In some way, shape, or form, symbolically or actually, you must give to others, particularly, forgive me, your worst enemy. There's only you. I come back. There's only you in this room. Everything else is a ghost. And the answer is, are you going to exercise the ghost, or are you going to do something else? Be your own man, be your own woman, is what I was taught. Stand on your own 2 feet. Remember the Kriya San. It's the most dangerous asana, the most dangerous position. Is stand on your own 2 feet. Dream your dream. And someday you'll have the wonderful opportunity to be a mother or father and see what the other side is like. I decided in this lifetime never to have children, and I guess it sort of looks like I've succeeded. But as my guru said when I said that to him, not too long before he left this country, this world, this earth, he said, "Oh, I had only one. You have 108. All your disciples are your children. Haven't you realized that? Don't you feel that?" And he laughed and rolled on the floor. And you know what he said? As he's laughing and rolling on, he was a Scorpio in case you don't know. He's laughing and rolling on the floor. He said, "Mine will grow up." Okay. Methodologies. I want to go to a few methodologies. The first methodology is called Hanuman Ram Pranayama. Sounds really Hanuman Ram Pranayama. Forget the name. The name's not important. Except Rama, Sri Rama, Lord Rama, the principle of an energy, a divine energy force, but archangel if you want to use that word. He was God, okay, and he had a servant, and the servant was called the monkey god Hanuman, and Hanuman was serving him, okay. I'm jumping 2,000 years in 2 minutes. And the Lord God is saying, "You should do this." He's, "Yes, Master." "You should do this." "Yes." The monkey God is saying, "Yes, Master." "You should do this." "Yes, Master." And one day, Lord Rama, God Rama, if you prefer, told him to do something. He said, "No, no, 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 that is wrong." And he said, "I am Master. You should do what I tell you to do." He said, "No, no, 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 no." He says, "I am God. You should tell you." "No, no, no, no. I'm telling you. You should do this." And with this, the story is that Hanuman took his claws, dug him into his chest and ripped open his chest, and right inside his heart was a little little Rama. He says, "My God is saying, God, that you're not the God when you say that." Okay? It's like that. Okay? So Hanuman is the servant now. I assume, maybe you don't know, the monkey God, the monkey is your mind. How do we say it? Get your monkey off your back, isn't that the way you talk? Get your mind, or that set of your mindset off your back. It's the servant of life, but it knows sometimes better than we do, so it's guiding us in this pranayama towards gratefulness. So it's easy. You take your right hand and you sort of make a little tube, and you put it up towards your lips, and you take your left hand and sort of block the thing, okay? And you put it to your lips and you inhale. Would you try that for a minute? Do you feel anything hot or cold? Cool, right? So the Hanuman Rama pranayama for gaining gratefulness is as you're simply sucking in, you feel that coolness with your eyes closed, and you take that coolness into your head and say, "Calm down, cool off, cool, let all that emotional heat dissipate." Okay? And then obviously you exhale. And as you exhale, you'll feel it's warm. Now, as the warmth comes, you radiate that warmth out to heat up other people's dreams. In other words, to help them fruitify, ripen the fruit of their life. That's all. And you just do this quietly and as long or as short as you want. The secret is to make the breath long and drawn out. You can't go, you can't do that. It's got to be like sipping, continuously, like as they used to say in the Middle East, one oil from one bottle to another in a totally unbroken stream. In the same way, the exhalation has to be long and continuous. So if you pucker your lips before you do it, it becomes a bit easier. Then you inhale. So you remember, you feel the coolness, you transfer the coolness to your brain symbolically and tell your personality to calm down, cool down. And there's all those heated emotions. When people get into heat, they get into trouble, all right? So cool the mind and all the heat that comes from all the strong desires. And then as it warms, you feel the warm, feel that your mind force is radiating out to the whole world and causing the vegetable patch to grow, causing the flower patches to grow, causing everything that is positive in their dream to manifest to a fullness. Now that's very important, okay? After the pranayama, which you can do for as long as you want, as long as you don't get dizzy. Some people, when they inhale and exhale, they get dizzy. Some people don't have a great deal of breath control. So we have a mantra. But before I give you the mantra that will bring you to a state of awareness of what you ought to be grateful for, what you are grateful for, as well as the small things of your life that are really much bigger than you realize. You need to think for a moment, and you need to create a word. If you are or were to be grateful to something, someone, some being, divine or otherwise, what would that name be? Now, at certain times in the life, a man says, "Oh, I'm so grateful to my wife." Other times, "Oh, I'm so grateful to Jesus." "Oh, I'm so grateful to Lord Buddha." It changes. But at this moment, if you were to say thank you to someone, a being, an entity, a human being, what would that first name or name be? Okay? You got it? The mantra is Om Shri Mata dash Va Namaha. Om Shri Mata dash Va Namaha. I could say, staying with Ram, I could say Om Shri Mata something Va Namaha. See the problem? Rama is masculine. Mata means mother, inner feminine energy. So now you have the name. Transfer that name into a feminine form. Use your creative imagination. Don't pay any attention to theology. This is not a course in theology, it's a course in spiritual psychology. Take the name that you had, and take a few moments, it's important, and give it a feminine form. Josephine. Shiva, Parvati. Jesus, maybe Virgin Mary. You have to figure out in your head, that's important, Take the name, as silly as it may sound, and make it into a feminine name. And then you add it in, Om Shri Mata Mary Vanamaha, whatever it is. And you just keep chanting that. What you're doing is you're attuning to the feminine creative form that in your mind's eye at this moment is giving you your awareness of gratefulness for these things. Okay, now there was a Leo who said once, Om Shri Mata Jan Vanama. He was chanting to himself, which is, he just forgot to put it in feminine form. So, Om Shri Mata, or Shri, Om Shri Parvati Vanamaha. And again, you just keep chanting it over and over again. After you chant it for a while, it's simply be quiet and try to feel what your mind is feeling. And go over it for a few moments. Stop for a few moments. Try to feel. Don't think, just observe. And just keep doing this for 10 or 20 or 30 days at a time. All right? You can't do that 3 days, 3 nights at a time. You can't do that 3 hours at a time. Can't do that 3 minutes. And you will find that it again will release in you, not outside of you, in you, some sort of attunement to what in your emotional computer is grateful to that creative force, feminine force, all right? And you break out of that, as I say, out of your subjective universe into your objective universe, and then you can do your real thing. But you got to get out of your head first. Okay. Next meditation for gratefulness, and this is really a very important one. Of the 3, I think it's the most important. you think of the form of an enemy. Someone you dislike if you don't have an enemy. Okay? And usually you try to visualize their face for half a second, so you know who you're going to relate to. All right? Now you put that out of your mind, the person. Okay? Now you go and you try to ask yourself at this moment, which will change from hour to hour, day to day, what is the thing I am most grateful for at this moment? All right? We'll call it X. Okay, now you're visualizing X. You're feeling X. And after you visualize X for a while, you immediately shift over to the face of the enemy for 2 or 3 seconds. Then you shift back to the object of beauty. And you keep shifting back and forth. And as you do that, the enemy becomes uglier, and the beauty, the gratefulness becomes more beautiful, until at some moment you will drop the enemy. It'll literally drop from your, you'll refuse to hold it in your conscious anymore. You're dissipating it through what some people would call love. I would say by positive attunement. The contrast between the two is just too powerful. And you get rid of this and you hold this, making that awareness of gratefulness even stronger. Then you have to hold that gratefulness, second step, so that other thoughts will come into your mind of the things you were grateful for. I had a speech impediment when I was a child, as some of you know. I think I still have it, or it's returning. But I can remember in school, a school teacher taking a tremendous amount of time to correct the speech impediment. And I was a bit embarrassed and a bit impatient by it. And she said, you know, if you just give me 15 minutes 3 times a day, a recession or whatever you call it, whatever they do when they put them in a group and you're supposed to do your homework or stare at the ceiling or spit balls at people, whatever it is. He said, you know, in a month or 2 it'll go away, but if you don't, you'll have it the rest of your life and it will be an unbelievable hindrance. Now for a human being who was supposed to be teaching me science, mathematics, you know, that's a pretty noble thing. To be so concerned to realize this is a problem. If he doesn't correct it, it's really going to be a problem. Bless her soul. I can still remember her name. And twice a day I send blessings to her, and I hope that the blessings are as meaningful as her blessing to me. Visualize gratefulness, and then reach back for all the people that you're grateful for. But each time you grab, like Mrs. Rutherford or your little saint in human clothing, okay, saint in human form, then try to bring up an enemy from the past, a person that you dislike, and do the same technique. And pretty soon the same thing will happen. The one will become so strong, and you simply want to neutralize and drive away the other one automatically. It's the old mystical, occult, hermetic philosophy that a strong soul and a weak soul, if they come together, will produce 2 strong souls or 2 weak souls. And so what we need to do is feed the one that is strong, the positive one that will become stronger and stronger, so the weak soul simply becomes strong. And that energy that at first was negative, that energy now is all converted and converted over into the positive, making it twice as strong. And again, step by step by step, you finally get up and break out of your subjective world. Now you can talk about God, now you can talk about religion, now you can talk about absolutes. But until we get outside of our psychology, it's ridiculous to talk about Lord Rama or any of these other divine beings. Or even, you know, there's the difference between religion and mysticism, as I understand it. Religion is talking about something out there in the real world which is impossible to grasp because we're fighting the battle here. A few days ago, remember the Catholic father came and I was talking, and I think I was upsetting him, so I said, well, this one will really upset you, Father. Forgive me. And he started rolling on the floor. Later he said, I never realized the battle for human minds and the battle to save souls, that's his language, has nothing to do with the outside world. It has to do with the thoughts inside. What we're fighting is our subjective battles. You know, there are so many people mad at God, really angry, and take it out on his creation. How about that? And the answer is, that's not the God. If I can stay in my symbolism, that's their shadow God. That's the distorted imagery in their subjective universe. And unless in some sense unless in some sense we can get out of that subjective universe. Then we can come up, stick our head down and say, hi, will real God stand up? Like that.